Now, on the broadcast yesterday, I was dealing with the matter of not a novice. 1 Timothy 3 and verse number 6, in the 17 qualifications that are given for the bishop, that would be the pastor of the church, the 16th of those is stated, not a novice, lest being lifted up with pride, he fall into the condemnation of the devil. Not a novice. And I pointed out on the program yesterday that the matter of being a novice does not necessarily imply being young. The text does not say not a youth or not a young man. It says not a novice. And a man that is a novice is a man that is new to anything. A man would be a novice that is new to whatever it might be. New to a business, new to a city, new to a work, new to a language. A young man, 25 or 30 years old, that was called to preach as a teenager and has been in church all of his life, would have more experience about the church and about church work than a man 50 years of age that only been saved for a year or two. The man 30 years old, though 20 years the junior of the 50-year-old man, would not be a novice, while the 50-year-old man would be a novice. Not a novice, not new to the faith. I think that a call to preach is Dr. Oliver Green, one of my heroes. Dr. Oliver Green used to say a call to preach is a call to prepare. And one of the reasons that we have Bible schools and we train our preacher boys is to help them to not be a novice when they go out to pastor a local church. While I was in school so many years ago, we studied, not only did we study theology, but I studied evangelistic song leading. We studied evangelism. We studied church polity, which is church politics, how a New Testament church is organized. We took a year's course on Sunday school administration, on how to set up and develop a Sunday school program, how a Sunday school program is to be set up in a local church, and how that Sunday school is to be run. So when we graduated from Bible college with a bachelor's degree in theology, we studied 3 years of English, a year of literature, a year of psychology, Greek. We used Greek as our foreign language, and then all of the administrative classes that we had to study. And some of those classes were quite dry, but we had courses on how to conduct a funeral and how to perform a wedding. We had classes on those. And so the young men that were graduated, if they paid any attention at all, were prepared they become familiarized, I would say. I don't know how many of us are actually ever prepared, but they were familiar with what they were to do in particular circumstances. I mean, if you pastor a church, what are you going to do when a 20-year-old young man and a 19-year-old young lady come to you and say, we want to get married, and you've never performed a wedding ceremony, you've never had any instruction on it? I mean, how do you perform that? And if you pastor a church, somebody in the congregation is going to die, and you may have never officiated in a funeral. Well, you need to have some familiarity with that. So that is the idea of a novice. Now, one of the reasons that the novice is prohibited from being a bishop, pastoring a church, is given in verse number 6. Not a novice. Now why? Why not a novice? Lest, being lifted up with pride, he fall into the condemnation of the devil. Lest, being lifted up with pride, he fall into the condemnation of the devil. Now, I think that Paul uses this word lest deliberately, because not every novice will fall into the condemnation of the devil. Not every novice will be lifted up with pride. But with a novice, there is certainly the possibility that he could be lifted up with pride. There is a command that is given here, the fact that God hates pride, that is given. And the list would identify a possibility of going beyond the prohibition that God has marked out and become lifted up, become elevated. Now, the word pride carries with it the whole concept of being lifted up. When we say that a man is proud, we say that that man has an inordinate self-esteem. He has an unreasonable conceit of his own superiority and his own talents. A man that is full of pride is a man that magnifies his own accomplishments. He elevates his rank in office. He takes to himself a lofty air. A man that is full of pride begins to distance himself from other individuals. He reserves himself from other individuals, and he has contempt for people. We heard recently, or some years ago during the election, there was somebody threw off on common people and called them smelly Walmart people. Smelly Walmart people. A man that will make a statement like that has distanced himself, and he holds other individuals in an attitude of contempt. There's a warning in the Bible about pride. Pride goeth before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. A man that is filled with pride manifests by that pride his contempt for other individuals. Now, a man that walks in pride or is lifted up in pride is utterly disqualified from the area of being a bishop. He is not qualified to be the pastor of a local assembly. Paul states that it is this lifting up in pride that becomes his fall. And the fall is identified as lest he fall into the condemnation of the devil. Not a novice, lest being lifted up with pride. The novice, if things are going well at the church and things are going well in his life, he is quite subject to become of the attitude, look what I have done. Look at the work I am doing for the Lord. Look how important I am to God. Look how God is able to use me. And God is not able to use those around me. And it doesn't take long until he assumes the idea that all of this work is a result of his ability. It is a result of his stand. It is a result of his labor. Look what I have done. Look what I am accomplishing. Well, that area of pride will cause him to fall. And the area, the word fall carries with it the idea that he is swept away. He becomes snared. In other words, his pride is a condemned place. Pride goeth before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. These 6 things doth the Lord hate, yea, 7 are an abomination unto him. The first one classified is a proud look. There's no doubt that God hates pride. And for you or me to be lifted up with a proud attitude of our inordinate opinion of ourselves, how important we are to God. I'm just so important to God. God could never get by without me. That's a bad situation. But when Paul uses the word fall, lest he fall into the condemnation of the devil, the word fall carries with it the idea that he will pass into a worse state than he's already in. It's a pretty bad state for a man to be filled up with pride when God has stated that he hates pride, but it is worse when that man falls into the condemnation of the devil. There have been a lot of good men that have fallen and ruined their lives. A lot of good preachers have ruined their ministries. A lot of good businessmen have ruined their businesses. A lot of good husbands have ruined their homes and their marriages by having an overinflated opinion of themselves. There are none of us that are invincible. And none of us reach a plateau that is such that we will never fall from that plateau. Now, I think you and I need to take the warning. Now, my time is gone today. I'm going to come back on the Monday program, and I want to deal with this matter of condemnation. Lest he fall into the condemnation of the devil. I hope you'll be listening to the Bright Spot Hour at that time.
Write the Bright Spot Hour at Post Office Box 4, Greenville, South Carolina 29602. Visit the website at